Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. Today I'm feeling a little better. Honestly, all of today I've felt better until I start moving. Then I feel just as bad. So that tells me I'm getting better, it's just not fully. And my voice is still a little messed up, as you can probably hear. This is about as loud as I can get, which is why I'm basically on top of the microphone. I'm probably too close to the microphone, but I kind of need this. So today, I'm going to attempt to be doing a more long-form episode. If there's just an abrupt cut, it's because I've just simply not been able to do it. I needed to take a break. Apologize, to clear my throat a bit. And today, I actually have something I want to talk about. And it's mostly because thinking back, I tend to talk a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! But honestly, a thing I do more than play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is I play competitive Pokemon. Now, I do this on Pokemon Showdown because I just do not have the time to rig up a team. Like, in-game. I just don't have the time to breed for IVs and all that. And I don't want to cheat. So I just go on Showdown. It works. And I've noticed a trend on Pokemon Showdown that's been growing more and more. And honestly, I think if anyone on here is watching and... Okay, that's just a grasshopper. I was gonna catch it, but it's not something I'd want. If like someone here is watching and they do this, please stop, honestly. And that's the people who immediately upon the match starting, immediately turn the timer on. Like, before both people have even sent out their first Pokemon, they turn on the timer. That, for a lot of people, will stress them out to no end. And, yeah, you'll win because you've stressed your opponent into quitting, basically. They don't feel like they have the time to think out their plays. I mean, if you've actually seen a professional player going, usually they'll spend 3 to 4 minutes thinking through what their opponent's going to do, unless what their opponent can do is super obvious. But, like, if your opponent has 3 counters to something you have out, and you've just, like, U-turned into it, you've got to now figure out what counter are they going to be most likely to bring in. And for a lot of for a lot of players, they don't put that much thought into that. They look at their opponent's team and go, okay, that one counter is what they're going to bring in. Their opponent brings in something else. They get kind of confused now and just roll with it and generally lose because they were rushing and making their opponent rush too. So they ended up basically causing themselves or their opponent to throw the match because they were impatient. I mean, I can understand it if an opponent is taking, 5 to 10 minutes for every decision. Yeah, turn the timer on. That's someone who is just stalling because they feel like it. Now I want something. Hey there, it's good to see you, Steven. I had a question to ask you. You know how I just said hey there a second ago, Popo? Well, I think it's time we come up with a greeting that's a little more personal, don't you? Definitely. Really? So do you have something in mind? So you just have to share it with me, Popo. You know what? I'm gonna use a Saturnism. She's gonna say zoom. And I'm using a Mr. Saturnism because there are monkeys in Earthbound, and in the Japanese version of Earthbound, Mother 2, the Mr. Saturns say poot poot, which is, double the length of po po. If you don't know, poot is an onomatopoeia for a fart sound. Such a happy ring to it. I use it all the time. A secret. Now you and I have a secret, and the perfect way to share our friendship. Hooray! Now we're gonna come check turnip prices. And also, there's something I want to check for. Yes, right here. We can buy candies. I'm gonna buy it. Now, what are the turnip prices, Nook? Better than 90? 57. That's not better than 90, Nook. You need to learn what better is, buddy. But yeah, back on with Pokemon. And like I said, this is mostly an issue with Pokemon Showdown. But also, if your opponent says, like, GLHF, good luck, have fun, it's just common courtesy to respond to them. I mean, that's probably more of just a personal nitpick, because I get really bothered when people don't respond to GLHF. But I think that mostly just comes from I've spent so long playing StarCraft semi-competitively, and that's just a thing you do there. With StarCraft, a lot of, at least I used it as a way of getting my fingers warmed up for the match, basically. Quickly typing through GLHF and then starting. You have time to do that while your first worker is being built. Right, we already found the money rock. What am I doing? I mean, it's just little things like that with Showdown that kind of bother me about people on there. And it's mostly the tryhards that are doing it. It's never really the people who are, still new to it. Like, new to competitive or even just new to Showdown. It's always, like, the tryhards that want to get their rating up really high because, well, there's a rating on Showdown. I tend to honestly purposefully keep my rating around the base 1000 range because that's where it starts. Because I like giving people tips on how to play better, how to build their team better, what items they should and shouldn't be using. I love doing that sort of stuff. I believe on my computer somewhere, I have a replay saved because it just kind of warmed my heart, honestly, where I went up against clearly a new to competitive player, and I basically talked them through how to use this team they had, because they basically just used someone else's team, is what they were doing. They were using a competitive team, but they had no real knowledge of how it worked. So I was talking them through how to use it, and they won through my tips. I wasn't trying to throw the game, but like if they'd ask a question of like, I'll give an example. It was Yu. I had a Mega Beedrill out. They had an... Oh god, what even was it? It was something weak to ground. And their question, because they knew my Beedrill had Drill Run, was, do you think I should switch out? Not what to switch into, just do you think I should switch out? And yes, of course, obviously, switch out. If you have something you think you can switch into that can take the drill run, which is what I was going to go for, because honestly, even if it doesn't connect well, if it connects from a Mega Beedrill, it's still going to hurt, even if it's not very effective. Especially in Yu-Yu. There's not really many things that can take a Mega Beedrill's attacks and just shrug them off. But, like, I wasn't telling him the exact moves to make, but I was giving little tips like that. And a lot of the time, that's what new players need. Is they just need the little tips. And, like, one thing, I mentioned him because a few of the Pokemon came without items. So he put on them the items that he thought would make the most sense. Those were the things like the Silk Scarf, or the... I forget even a lot of their names. But basically the items that boost specific type attacks by 1.2 times. Like, the Silk Scarf does it for normal type attacks. Those are not good items. You really don't want to be using them. The types of items that you'd want is like leftovers, or a choice of some sort. Like, if it's a special attacker with just 4 special attacks, you may as well go with choice specs. Unless, you know, you would benefit from an Assault Vest. That really depends on what the Pokemon is. Like, if it's a Blissey and you want to make it into an attacker, you want Hyper Voice, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, and pick another type coverage special attack and an Assault Vest. That Blissey will soak up special attacks for days. And it'll also be an actual decent special attacker. So long as you give it special attack investment with modest nature. Max HP, max special attack, modest nature. You don't need to put... You could put some points into defense instead of special attack, and you would deal less damage, but you might be able to take a physical attack. But really, if you're banking on your Blissey or Chansey taking a physical attack, you're doing it wrong. Those Pokemon should never be taking physical attacks. If they are, you've basically got no other option. And you just want it to die as quickly as possible. Which is why, honestly, I would suggest, rather than on Pokemon Showdown, when building a team, there will be... Smogon will basically recommend... Yeah, I'll swap this out for another fish. I will swap it for a sea bass. And then head off to Nooks, because we already have a red snapper in the museum. But like, on Showdown, when building a Pokemon, you will have Smogon suggested EVs and nature that you can just click the button and it'll do it for you. Don't get in the habit of using that. It's really bad. Like, I don't mean to talk smack on Smogon, but a lot of their sets are terrible. Like, recently they've really gotten into a kick of proposing sets that don't max out on anything. They're very indecisive sets. Like, they'll have 124 defense investment with 80-some HP investment with, you know... They're not devoting to it, so it's not gonna work. And I know that's more or less just my opinion on that, but I feel you need to devote to your set. Like, if you're building... Like, it's just a simple thing of, like, whoops. Like, let's say you're building up, and I'll just use this as an example. Let's say you're using a Pikachu. You want that to be a special attacker more often than not. Pikachu has higher special attack. You don't really want to have Thunderbolt and Body Slam on a Pikachu. Not together. You want to devote to either physical or special attacking. So when building the Pikachu, you need to decide, do I want it to be a physical attacker or special attacker? And then when you're applying EVs to it, you want to max out on the attack for whatever you've chose. If you've gone special attack, max out on special attack. If you've chose physical, max out on physical. Now with Pikachu, choosing an item is easy. You want the light orb. Without it, it's just useless. I don't know if we have that bug. Okay, it's a walking stick, so yeah, we already have it. And I can even give, off the top of my head, some moves you would probably want on a competitive Pikachu. Special attacking, you'd want Thunder Shock, probably Thunder Wave in there. Not Thunder Shock, Thunderbolt. Ugh. Thunder Shock's terrible. Don't use that. Possibly Thunder, depending on the team. If it's a Rain Dance team, Thunder. Thunder all the way. Thunder will never miss in the rain. If it's physical, you want Volt Tackle, Quick Attack. I believe it can learn Iron Head. Like, there's a lot of just kind of standard moves you would want no matter what. You know, just for the type. Like, if you're using an electric type, you probably want Thunderbolt. It's just the better electric attack. I think that's the... I don't use electric types, if you can't tell. I'm pretty sure Thunder Shock is the really weak one, though. But Thunderbolt sounds wrong for Pokemon. Now, I'm casually opening up a thing on my desktop because I need to see this now. I'm so bad when it comes to electric types. I don't ever use them. I apologize for the quiet right here. Well, relative quiet. Hey, you little electric mouse. There we go. No, Thunderbolt is the move. Okay, I was right. But yeah, just looking at the moves that Pikachu learns, if you're going special, you would want Thunderbolt and... it really doesn't learn much. Signal Beam, probably. Volt Switch. And probably a hidden power of some sort. If you're going physical, you have a lot of options open to you with a Pikachu. You'd probably want Wild Charge. Or Volt Tackle if you have it. Mostly because Volt Tackle is just kind of better. Let's see. Iron Tail's really good. Brick Break could be decent coverage. You'd probably still want Volt Switch, even if you were going like a Choice Band setup. because, well, Volt Switch is a pivot move. Pivot moves hold a lot of weight in Pokemon. And this is something I'm probably going to explain very badly. But basically, with pivot moves, think of it like you're in an actual dogfight in an airplane. A pivot move is you basically doing a maneuver to gain the advantage over the other plane. Even if that means taking a minor bit of damage. Pom-Pom listening? Do you ever suddenly realize that some phrase you've been using, like, is all totally lame? So, like, for example, Vimo, stuff like that. I think I need something more elegant and ladylike and saucy or whatever. Can you think of anything that would work well for me, Rara? I think I can. Alright, I knew you could do it, darling. Give me your best one, Rara. Let's see, you don't like Vimo. This is a greeting. She wants it to be saucy. You know what? Hey. Hey, like, look at me, I'm happy. Did that sound okay? Yep, that works just fine. No, just saying it to myself, rah-rah. But yeah, basically, with pivot moves, just think of them like that. And even with, like, a Pokemon that you're not building to have an advantage towards the pivot move. Like, Volt Tackle's a special attack, but I would still put it on a physical attacker if that was the only pivot move it had. Because pivot moves are very important in competitive. Now, if the Pokemon is really slow, don't bother with a pivot move. That is one thing I've noticed a lot of people don't seem to get. If the Pokemon's speed is, say, I'd say under 80 base, don't bother with pivoting. Just don't bother. You're not fast enough for it to matter. Because with a pivot, you want to be generally going first, so that you don't take a move you don't want to take. So, like, for example, once again using Pikachu, if you're in against a ground type, well, ground type's a bad example because you can't Volt Switch against that. But let's say you're in against Mega Beedrill with Drill Run, and you know it has Drill Run. You're not going to be faster. But if you could, you'd want to Volt Switch out. In that case, you'd honestly want to just hard switch out. Which, hard switching is just switching without using a move to do it. There's a lot of terms to competitive Pokemon. I know a lot of what I've said is completely irrelevant to most people who play Pokemon. It's only really even semi-important if you play competitive. Whoops. Honestly, I'd say you could probably even play competitive and not know anything. Mushroom Mural. I think we already have that. Whoops. I meant to do this. Glad there wasn't any bees in that tree. I think I would have knocked them out. I'm going to sell the Mushroom Mural even if we don't have it. Because I'm pretty sure we have it. Because it's like the Mushroom Kingdom backdrop. I just want the money. What is that? Oh, that's the phonograph. Okay. But yeah, I'd say I managed to do a pretty long form episode today. I just talked about Pokemon. I know I had some quiet moments, and I had some derping moments. I should really start using some electric types more. It's just they're all so straightforward. Like, an electric type is almost always fast, high special attack. Like, that's just generally what they are. They're just sweepers, and I'm not honestly much of a person for a sweeper. I should explain, a sweeper is a type of Pokemon that, well, sweeps your opponent. It deals a lot of damage very fast. Well, and is very fast. So, for instance, well, Mega Beedrill. It is really fast, has a lot of attack, no real durability to speak of. Honestly, if it was even semi-bulky, it would probably be an Ubers, because of just how hard it hits. I love this room. But yeah, I should just stop talking now because my throat is getting kind of sore. So with that, I thank you all very much for watching, and hope to see you again next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.